Make sure you guys subscribe and turn on my notification bell. Thanks for watching. Happy New Year's. There's some fireworks going on out there. Got gunshots. Our first typing session. Hope y'all ready. So, our first typing session is going to be with Bruce Lee, and this is going to be a passive typing session. I'll just make a playlist, and I'll put all my passive typing sessions in that playlist. Okay, just so you guys know, if you guys don't know what passive and active typing sessions typing is, it's a phrase I coined from Personality Hacker. Shout out to them. They're like one of my favorites as far as learning the fundamentals of Briggs. They're pretty much one of my favorites. Because I really like how they put stuff to practice. It sounds more practical in my opinion, but yeah, I coined that phrase from them. Basically, okay, if you guys want to know more about that, just go watch my last video, what the difference is between the two. But yeah, this is going to be a passive type of session. Bruce Lee. I felt like he would be the perfect first person to do because, first of all, he's supposedly the same type as me. Like in real life, people say that I have like mannerisms. People who know me say I do have similar mannerisms. I've heard that I actually look like Bruce Lee, but I don't really think that might not have been true. That might have just been a person looking at my facial expressions I make. I probably make the same I make the same facial expressions he makes. If you guys don't know, my type is linked to facial expression, body language, and stuff like that to some extent. So, yeah. I'll go more into depth of that later. I just want to get to this type session, but all right, let's go ahead, man. I'm gonna start this interview. This is Bruce Lee, the Lost interview. The link will be down in the description if you just want to watch it yourself, because I'm really gonna be pausing it a lot and stuff like that, just so y'all know. Cause I gotta talk, man. I'm gonna have to talk on certain points, so I'm gonna be pausing it. So, all right, here we go. Let's get to it. All right, Bruce Lee, the Lost interview. Oh yeah, put my headphones on. I'm tripping.
Bruce Lee faces a real dilemma. He's on the verge of stardom in the United States with a projected TV series on the horizon, but he's just achieved superstardom as a film actor here in Hong Kong. So what does he choose, the East or the West? It's the kind of problem most budding movie actors would welcome.
It's the Pierre Burton Show, the program that comes to you from the major capitals of the world.
Get to the good stuff.
This edition comes to you and Chinese boxing, side and long.
Well, how can you play in Mandarin movies if you don't even speak Mandarin? How do you do that?
Well, first of all, I speak only Cantonese.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there is quite a difference as far as pronunciation and things like that go.
So somebody else's voice is used, right?
Definitely, definitely.
You just make the words. Doesn't that sound strange when you go to the movies, especially in Hong Kong, in your own town, and you see yourself with somebody else's voice?
Well, not really, you see, because most of the Mandarin picture done here are dubbed anyway.
They dubbed anyway?
Anyway. I mean, disregard. I mean, they shoot without sound.
Okay. Already, I am noticing something about him. I see it in his speech pattern. Certain speech pattern, SP, it's very similar to my speech pattern when I'm like talking to somebody and they ask me questions off the fly. I can see him thinking on the fly. I mean, that might not be a solidified reason, but I wish I'd explain that better. But let me rewind a little bit. Wait a minute.
Only Cantonese.
Yeah.
No.
So, I mean, there is quite a difference as far as pronunciation and things like that go.
So somebody else's voice is used, right?
Definitely, definitely.
You just make the words. Doesn't that sound strange when you go to the movies, especially in Hong Kong, in your own town, and you see yourself with somebody else's voice?
Well, not really, you see, because most of the Mandarin picture done here are dubbed anyway.
They dubbed anyway?
Anyway. I mean, disregard. I mean, they shoot without sound. So it doesn't, make any difference.
Your lips never quite make...
Like when he said he doesn't, when he said, like... I see that. Oh, man, I can't explain that right. But the speech pattern, though, that's a speech pattern thing. Like, if you just go back and listen to it yourself, like, just pay attention to it yourself. That's actually a speech pattern of a SPP.
They dubbed anyway.
Anyway, I mean, disregard. I mean, they shoot without sound. So it doesn't, make any difference.
Your lips never quite.
As he's talking, I can see him. Like, you look at his face as he's talking. You see him thinking. Like, extroverted senses, like that we improvise a lot. So we do a lot of stuff on the fly. As we're doing it, we're thinking as we do stuff. That's what SPs tend to do. STPs especially.
Without sound.
I'll be able to
So it
come.
doesn't, make any difference.
Your lips never quite make the right words, do they?
Well, that's where the difficulty lies, you see. I mean, in order to, because the Cantonese have a different way of saying things, different from the Mandarin.
Yeah.
So I have to find, like, something similar to that and keep a kind of a feeling going behind that. Something that matching the Mandarin deal.
Like the
Does
old
it
silent
sound complicated?
days. Like the old
Let
silent
me see if I can find some more.
I gather in the movies made here, the dialogue is pretty stilted anyway.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, see, to me, a motion picture is motion.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to keep the dialogue down to the minimum.
Did you go to...
That's a red flag right there. He said he likes to keep the dialogue, it's emotion. What did he say? Hold on, let me rewind it. I'm catching stuff.
It's like the old silent days.
Picture is motion. Yeah,
Okay.
I agree with you. I mean, see, to me, a motion picture is motion.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to keep the dialogue down to the minimum.
Yeah. Okay, so if you don't know anything about ISTPs tend to be nonverbal people. We're very good with nonverbal communication. We prefer not to speak. We prefer to act as opposed to speak. That's a widely known trait of ISTP. A lot of ISTPs are very nonverbal. We prefer action. That sounds like that's right there. It sounds like he likes action as opposed to, talking, you know what I'm saying, dialogue. And that's similar to me, you know what I'm saying? I'm not projecting necessarily. Well, I probably am projecting, but more to it than that. I mean, I definitely would say that's an ISTP trait right there. And just so y'all know, I don't type off of one specific method. I go off of anything. Like, depending on what the person give me, I might go with, like right now I'm just looking at him overall, so I'm not necessarily looking at a function. There's no real good way to type. And also typing with just functions is too confusing to do a lot of times. Well, it can be. Well, I guess depending on who you are. If you don't have a holistic understanding of function, it can be confusing to try to type with functions. But that's a different topic.
Did you look at many Mandarin movies before you started playing in the first one?
Yes.
What did you think of them when you saw them?
Quality-wise, I mean, I have to admit that it's not quite up to the standard. However, it is growing, and it is getting higher and higher and going toward that standard, that what I would term quality.
They say the secret of your success in that movie, The Big Boss, which was such a success here and rocketed you to stardom.
Because this is kind of long, man.
Was that you did your own fighting.
I'm already pausing.
As an expert in the various martial arts in China, what did you think of the fighting that you saw in the movies that you studied before you became a star?
Well, I mean, definitely
right
in the
there.
beginning, I had no...
I do that all the time myself, man. This thing right here, I see a lot of TI users do that. Introverted thinkers. From experience, I see a lot of us do this. When we really thinking about stuff and we're really into a conversation, we're thinking. I do that. That's a habit of mine. That's a common trend. I mean, that's not a one reason to type somebody as a TI user, but you see them do this a lot. Just so y'all know. Yeah.
intention or whatsoever that what I was practicing and what I'm still practicing now would lead to this to begin with. But martial art has a very, very deep meaning as far as my life is concerned, because as an actor, as a martial artist, as a human being, all these I have learned from martial art.
Maybe for our audience who doesn't know what it means, you might explain exactly what you mean by martial art.
Right. Martial art include all the combative arts like karate.
Look at this right here. Extroverted sensors do that a lot. Extroverted sensors use their hands when they talk a lot. You see that mostly when extroverted. I'm not saying other types don't do it, but types that are really animated with their hands you see ESFPs do this a lot. They really use their hands a lot when they talk. Extroverted sensors really try to paint a picture when they talk. So that could be a reason why he'd be an extroverted sensor. And I'm trying to look at it from a open mind. I don't really see anything so far that would, like, hypothetically, like if you wanted to say he was an INTJ or INFJ or something like that, or even something else. Still don't really see anything. I'm just, I don't really see nothing that could be that. So,
Chinese kung fu or Chinese
the hand
boxing,
movements,
whatever you call it. All those. Yeah. You see, like Aikido, Korean, I can go on and on and on. But it's a combative form of fighting. I mean, it's not. Some of them became sport.
He talk like me, man. Like, now he don't actually talk like me, but I see it in his speech pattern, man. Like, I don't know. It's hard to explain. I just see it. Like, y'all might see it too, but
are still not. I mean, they use, for instance, kicking to the groin, jabbing fingers at the eyes, and things like that.
No wonder you're successful in the Chinese movies. Are full of this kind of action anyway. They needed a guy like you could...
Violence, man.
So you didn't have to use a double when you moved into the motion picture world here. You did it all yourself. No. Can you break 5 or 6 pieces of wood with your hand or your foot?
I'll probably break my hand and foot.
That was clever. I wouldn't say that was clever, but, like, I just see how he talks. It's like he don't even know what he's going to say the second until he says he is actually talking. That might be similar for all extroverted functions, but I don't know. I had to think about that. But I see the extroverted sense in him. Just from me seeing it over and over, I just know. But I know. We'll come with more reasons if we need to.
But tell me a little bit. You set up a school in Hollywood, didn't you, for people like James Garner and Steve McQueen and the others?
Yes.
Why would they want to learn Chinese martial art? Because of a movie role?
Not really. I mean, most of them, you see,
Introverted Thinking.
To me,
Introverted Thinking do that a lot.
At least the way that when I teach it, all type of knowledge ultimately means self-knowledge. Mm-hmm. So therefore, they are coming in to, and ask me to teach them not so much of
self-knowledge,
how to defend themselves.
That sounds like introverted thinking to me, man. That's the way he sees things. You know what I'm saying? It sounds like that's the way he looks at things from a perspective of self-knowledge. If you don't know what introverted thinking is about what works for the individual, mainly. That's what introverted thinkers think. That's how we think. You know what I'm saying? So, yep.
Or how to do somebody in. Rather, they want to learn to express themselves through some movement, be it anger, be it determination, or whatsoever. So in other words, what I'm saying, therefore, is that he is paying me to show him in combative form the art of expressing the human body.
Which is acting.
That looks like extroverted thinking. Extroverted.
Well,
or it would be useful.
Look at his eyes. His eyes, you see that? Look, when you see people squint like that, they usually are using introverted intuition. Also, ISTPs, we do that a lot too. We use our introverted intuition along with our introverted thinking. That's what introverted intuition looks like in the eyes a lot. It's because it's them attempting to dig deeper and go underneath something. That's basically what he's doing right here, you know. Because he said that he sounded like he's trying to get more precise. Now, this is a trait. I will be open minded and say that can look like that can be that can look like INTJ too. I see INTJ do that a lot. When you're talking to them, they can kind of sit like how he's sitting, and they can. But they say INTJs look similar to ISTPs. Let's see. Show y'all that again.
Well,
yeah, that face right there. That's the face I see from INTJs a lot too. So
it's. I mean, it might sound too philosophical, but it's
might sound too he's getting philosophical, is he? That's saying he's using that eye. It looks like he's using that eye. If you look at his eyes, that's introverted intuition, man. I'm certain. I can just tell, man. Like, it's from experience. Seeing a lot of introverted intuition, that's what their eyes look like a lot when they talk, and they're really trying to dig deep and stuff, and they're trying to get philosophical, this and that. So,
acting or acting unacting. If you
You've lost me.
I have.
Boxing. How does it differ from, say,
I don't know what he was
boxing?
saying there. He sounded like he was going
First,
somewhere.
we use the feet.
I ain't catch it.
That's
And
a
then
start.
we use the elbow. And
Use the thumb too.
you name it, man. We
Use it all.
You have to, you see, because, I mean, that is the expression of the human body. I mean, everything. I mean, you know, not just the hand. And when you're talking about combat, well, I mean, if it is a sport, now
see him? Listen.
You have regulations, you have rules. But when you're talking about fighting as it is...
Listen to what he's saying here. I think...
no rules.
Real fighting.
Well, then, baby, you better train every part of
yeah.
your body. And when
Being prepared. If you don't know some of our ISTPs, we're always prepared when it comes to any scenario. Like that's what it sounds like to him. He wants to be prepared at all times. He trains every part of the body. That sounds like TISE, you know, together. It sounds like it. Sounds like it. Look up some traits about ISTPs if you need to, man. But yeah.
you do punch, now I'm leaning forward a little bit.
He's showing them. That's extroverted senses. The best way for us to, like I'm doing right now with these typing says, the best way for us to explain something is by showing people as opposed to explaining it. We prefer to show you. So he's trying to do that right here by like sort of showing them with his movements and stuff like that, examples. Instead of going extensively explaining it, he's showing, he's attempting to show them best way. That's what extroverted sensing basically, that's what we want to do. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to talking about it.
I mean,
See, look at him. He's showing them.
Into it. And snap
Yep.
And get
Extroverted sensing.
and make this into a weapon.
Yeah.
I didn't want to tangle you in any dark. No, you came at me pretty fast there. What is the difference between
the GOAT,
Chinese
man?
boxing and what we see these
Gotta
young men
admire
doing at 8 o'clock every morning on the rooftops in the parks called shadow boxing, which they're always...
Well, I love shadow boxing. If y'all didn't know, man, I've always had a natural knack for boxing. It always came naturally to me, but I never boxed because I never had time. I was always playing other sports when I was could have boxed. It's not something I really want to do like that, but I always want to just try it out for once. I was naturally good at that. We used to shadow box when we were like kids and stuff. I used to always beat everybody and stuff. Shadow boxing is fun, man. I used to beat everybody in shadow boxing though. Like, you don't know what that is. Basically, you throwing punches but not hitting the person.
That is part of Chinese boxing.
Yes.
There are so many schools.
Everybody
schools.
here seems to be, going like this all the time.
Well, that's good. I'm very glad. I'm very glad to see that because at least somebody is caring for their own body, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a good sign. Well, it's a kind of a slow form of exercise, which is called Tai Chi Chuan.
Showing them.
I'm speaking Mandarin just now.
Yeah.
Cantonese, Tai Chi Kun, okay?
I see.
And it's more of an exercise.
See, a little bit extroverted feeling. Like some people might mistake him just because he seems so nice in his interview, this and that. Oh, he's an extroverted feeler. No, I see a little bit extroverted feeling. Like the little bit extroverted feeling I do see is him trying to make the conversation sort of pleasant and lighthearted. He sounds like he on a very low level. He is trying to keep the emotional harmony well in the room, but not too much. He's just talking, having fun in the conversation mostly. I see SE and FE a little bit. I see a little bit of FE, a little bit.
Not so much for the
Give me a demonstration. Show me. Can you do a little bit of it? Just so
hand-wise, it's very slow.
Oh, is it?
And you push it out, but all the time you are keeping the continuity going. Bending, stretching, everything. You just keep it moving.
It's like a ballet dancer there.
Yeah, it is. I mean, to them, you see, the idea is running water never grows stale. So you got to just keep on flowing.
Of all these students, famous, James Garner, Steve McQueen, Lee Marvin, James Coburn, Roman Polanski.
And I almost started doing it myself.
Which was the best?
Like the whole thing, I really almost started doing it myself. And then I'm like, damn, that'd be kind of awkward because he do that too. I do that all the time, man, doing this when I'm thinking. I do that all the time. That's a common introverted thinking thing.
The best
mannerism.
Oriental form of exercise and defense.
Well, depending, okay? Now, as a fighter, Steve McQueen, now, he is good in that department because that son of a gun got the toughness in him.
You see it on the screen.
I mean, he would say, "All right, baby, here I am, man." You know, and he'll do it.
Man, auto on this a little
Now,
off.
James Colburn, is a peace-loving.
I guess so they won't get it taken down. Copyright or
Right, I mean,
something.
you've met him. I mean, he's really, really nice.
Probably,
I mean, super mellow and all that. I mean, you know, I mean.
I see a little extroverted feeling here, man. I see a little bit.
The philosophical part of it.
I see it in his
Therefore, his
smile. I
understanding
mean, if
of
you
it
don't know
is-
the feeling functions, they got like certain smiles to them. Sometimes you can pick up on just by looking at them. Of course, I'm telling you, face typing is not the way to go. I'm just saying, sometimes you can tell, sometimes you can't. But I see it.
deeper than Steve. So it's really hard to say. You see what I'm saying now?
I see.
I mean, it's different. So that's, I mean, depending on what you see in it.
Interesting. We don't, in our world, and haven't since the days of the Greeks who did, combine philosophy and art with sport. But
Philosophy
clearly,
and art
the
with
Oriental
sports.
attitude is that the three are facets
Philosophy
of the same
and
thing.
arts.
Man, listen, you see, really.
TISENI.
Ultimately, martial art means honestly expressing yourself. Now, it is very difficult to do. I mean, it is easy for me to put on a show and be cocky and be flooded
Honestly
with a
expressing
cocky
yourself.
feeling
What does
and
that
then
sound like
feel
to you?
pretty-
Now, this could be taken many different ways. He said honestly. He said martial arts is honestly expressing yourself. Now, what function could that sound like? Well, what it actually is, it is most likely extroverted sensing. But some people could maybe say, oh, that's a feeling function or something. But I will tell you right now, just based on other things along with it, it's probably his extroverted sensing. Honestly expressing yourself. That's what extroverted sensing can fall into that too. That's what extroverted sensing can do as well. Extroverted sensing does also want to express itself. Honestly, you look at ISTPs and ESTPs, you know how they're nicknamed the artists. They make really good artists. They don't express themselves so much through their introverted feeling. They'll do it through their SE. That'd be their outlet. So that's why art is always a good thing for ISTPs. Just so y'all know. But depending on who's watching or what you guys think, you can take it a certain way.
Cool and all that. Or I can make all kinds of phony things, you see what I mean? Blinded by it. Or I can show you some really fancy movement. Express myself honestly. That, my friend, is very hard to do. And you have to train. You have to keep your reflexes so that when you want it, it's there.
Extroverted
When
sensing.
you want to move, you're moving. And when you move, you're determined to move. Not taking 1 inch, not anything less than that. If I want to punch, I'm going to do it, man, and I'm going to do it. You see?
Oh,
so,
man.
I mean, so that's
That's
the type
golden
of thing
right
you have
there.
to train yourself
That
into.
is definitely extroverted sensing. I say that. What he was just explaining right there, extroverted sensing. That's what extroverted sensing is trained to do. With whatever they're doing, they want to. In our minds, we say if we just starting out on a sport or something. In our head, we want to do this. We know we play like this, but we haven't trained it up to that level. Well, I know that's me too. You know, that's what we want to do. That's what extroverted sensing wants to do. Like everything we want. Like extroverted sensing has a lot of willpower. Everything we want to be able to do everything that we want the environment to respond to what we want. Like we do certain things in the moment. You know what I'm saying? Like we want to have that type of. I hope you guys get what I'm saying. I'm having a hard time explaining it right now.
To become one with the. You think?
Yeah, it is
Yes,
very
you
un-Western.
think and then you do, man. That's TINSE. I know that. He wants it to be where everything that's TINSE. It's so obvious to me. I'm even having a hard time explaining it. It's like I'm explaining the obvious. I don't know. That's just because I've seen it so many times.
Career, but first, we'll take a break.
Observed it.
And I'll be back with Bruce Lee. I've been talking to Bruce Lee mainly about the Chinese martial arts, which include things like Chinese boxing, karate, and judo, which is what he taught when he was in Hollywood. After he left the University of Washington, where he studied, of all things, philosophy, if you can believe that. He did, but that, perhaps you understand why the two go together from the first.
And
half
it's
of this
surprised the phone that
program.
he studied philosophy, huh?
And you can perhaps understand how he got into films. He knew a lot of actors, but I'm told the big break when you played in Longstreet. I must tell the audience that
That's it.
Bruce Lee had a bit part or a supporting role in the Longstreet series, And this had an enormous effect on the audience. What was it?
Well, you see, the title of that particular episode of Longstreet is called The Way of the Intercepting Fist. Now, I think the successful ingredient
I heard the speech pattern.
was because I was being Bruce Lee.
Yourself.
Myself, right. And did that part, just express myself, like I say, honestly express myself at that time.
At the time.
Because
See
of that,
I honestly expressed myself at the time. He just reiterated what he said before. And this time he got more specific. Honestly expressed myself at the time. That sounds like extroverted sensing. Yeah, that sounds like extroverted sensing. Some people might say, oh, that's feeling. No, that's not feeling. At the time, listen carefully. He said, honestly express myself at the time. That's what extroverted sensing tries to do.
Favorable mentioning in like New York Times, which says like the Chinaman who incidentally came off quite convincingly enough to earn himself a television series and so on and so on and so forth.
Can you remember the lines by Sterling Sullivan, the key lines?
He's one of my students, you know that?
Was he too?
Yes.
You've had everybody as your student. But you read, there were some lines that expressed your philosophy. I don't know if you remember them or not.
I remember that. I
Let's
said,
hear.
this is what it is, okay?
You're talking to Longstreet, played by James Francesca.
I said, empty your mind.
This is the good part. Let's
Be
see.
formless, shapeless, like water. Now you put water into a cup, it becomes the cup. You put water into a bottle, it becomes the bottle. You put it in a teapot, it becomes the teapot. Now water can flow or it can crash. Be water, my friend. Like that.
Everybody know that quote. Well, a lot of people know that quote, but that sounds like some of his NI right there, man. T.I. No, introverted thinking too. Sound like he compared and contrasted by using the water metaphor. He used a lot of introverted thinking to compare and contrast ideas. That's what introverted thinking does a lot when it's trying to sort things out. We compare and contrast ideas. We can see similarities in the two ideas, and we can see differences, and we can like delete the bad stuff, the stuff that's not so credible. You know what I mean? Like that's what it sounded like he did. It sounded like that process, and then after the process, you get stuff like this. I do quotes like that myself, and I'm thinking about stuff. I can come with quotes. Of course, I'm not comparing. I'm not saying, oh, I'm on Bruce Lee level, but I think in that direction a lot. Let's put it like that.
I get the power behind it.
Excuse me.
So now, two things have happened. First, there's a pretty good chance that you'll get a TV series in the States called The Warriors, in which you use what, the martial arts?
Shame he did, man.
Western
I wish he still alive.
That was the original idea. Now, Paramount, I did Longstreet for Paramount, and Paramount wants me to be in a television series. On the other hand, Warner Brother wants me to be in another one, but both of them, I think, they want me to be in a modernized type of a thing. And they think that Western idea is out. Whereas you want
to do the Western, eh?
I want, because you see, I mean, how else can you justify all these punching and kicking and violence except in that period of the West? I mean, in nowadays, I mean, you don't go around on the street kicking people or punching people. Because if you do, that's it. I mean, I don't care how good you are,
But this is true also of the Chinese dramas, which are mainly costume dramas. They're all full of blood and gore over here.
You mean here? Yeah. Well, unfortunately, you see, I hope that the picture I am in would either explain why the violence was done, whether right or wrong or whatnot. But unfortunately, pictures, most of them here, are done mainly just for the sake of violence. You know what I mean? Like, fighting for 30 minutes, get stabbed 50 times.
Well, I'm fascinated. Let me give you your microphone back. I'm fascinated that you came back.
He's moving around. All that extroverted sense and moving around too much.
On the verge of
mic fell off
in Hollywood and full of it.
Tell us something. Look like something I do too.
One picture.
Not to project.
You become a superstar. Everybody knows.
I'm just saying.
That's something I would do. You have to change your phone number. You get mobbed in the streets.
Can't sit still that long.
Now, what are you going to do? Are you going to be able to live in both worlds? Are you going to be a superstar here, or one in the States, or both?
Well, let me say this. First of all, the word superstar really turned me off, and I'll tell you why. Because the word star, man, is an illusion. It's something what the public calls you. You should look upon oneself as an actor, man. I mean, you would be very pleased if somebody say, hey, man, you are a super actor. It is much better than, you know, superstar.
Sound like you really, sound like some introverted thinking right there. You think about what it actually means, and he decided he didn't like it. That's introverted thinking. That's what we do. Just so you know, I have a theory that the dictionary was invented by ISTP. That's my theory. I mean, I don't know. It's just for fun. I don't know for sure, but I really think that the dictionary was invented by an ISTP, or at least had a big contribution to how the dictionary looks today. I don't really know the details of that, but that's what I think. So,
Star, you're not gonna. If you're going to give me the truth,
I'm honestly saying this. Okay, yes, I have been very successful.
Yeah.
Okay. But I mean, I think the word star is I mean, I do not look upon myself as a star. I really don't. I mean, believe me, man, when I say it. I mean, I'm not saying it because
well, what are you going to do? Let's get back to the question.
Okay.
Are you going to stay in Hong Kong and be famous? Or are you going to go to the United States and be famous? Or are you going to try and eat your cake and have it too?
I am going to do both because, you see, I have already made up my mind that in the United States, I think something about the Oriental, the true Oriental should be shown.
Hollywood sure as heck hasn't.
You ever hear about the stubbornness of, they say that we're stubborn, ISTPs, but you can kind of see that right there. He said he already made up his mind. He don't really care what you say. He's already made up his mind, you know. Damn. It's New Year's. Happy New Year, guys. I decided not to go out for New Year because I already been going out like a lot, you know, around Christmas time. So I didn't feel like going out. I did enough. I needed a break. So I look like a. Usually I'm very outgoing. I would have went out normally, but I'm tired. You know, I said in my last video, I hung out with too many people. I needed a break. So I had to do a video.
I mean, it's always that pigtail and bouncing around, chop, you know, with the eyes slant and all that. And I think that's very, very out of
Is it true that you were the first job you had was being cast as Charlie Chan's #1 boy?
Yeah, #1 son, yeah. No,
they never made a movie.
No. They were going to make it into like a new Chinese James Bond type of a thing. Now that, you know, the old man Chan is dead, Charlie is dead, and his son is carrying on.
But they didn't do that.
No. Batman came along. You see,
they out there lighting it up.
And then everything was started to be going into that, you know, that kind of a
which you were in. But
by the way, I did a really terrible job in that, I have to say.
Really? You didn't like yourself? I didn't see it. Let me ask you, however, about the problems that you face as a Chinese hero in an American series. Have people come up in the industry and said, well, we don't know how the audience are going to take a non-American?
Well, such question has been raised. In fact, it is being discussed, and that is why The Warrior is not going to be on.
I see.
You see, because unfortunately, such thing does exist in this world. You see, like, I don't know, certain part of the country, right, where like they think that business-wise it's a risk, and I don't blame them. I mean, in the same way, it's like in Hong Kong, if a foreigner come and became a star, if I were the man with the money, I probably would have my own worry of whether or not the acceptance would be there. But that's all right, because if you honestly express yourself, it doesn't matter. See?
Are you honestly express yourself?
The coin? Is it possible?
Makes sense even more now. He's explained it 3 times in a row, so I can see what he actually means by that. You honestly expressing yourself. If you ever heard SPs being like considered realists in society, a lot of times the ESTPs and stuff like that, we're the realists. You know what I'm saying? So honestly expressing yourself sounds like that. Sounds like extroverted sensing. Whatever, you know, we keep saying that.
You still think of yourself Chinese, or do you ever think of yourself as North American?
You know what I want to think of myself? As a human being. Because I mean, I don't want to sound like, as confused.
That's how I feel.
But
like, I don't like to think of myself as a certain race. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how I view things. I would definitely agree with that. As a fellow ISTP. That's literally what I would have said if he asked me that question.
It just so happened, man, that people are different.
Okay, we got to go. Thank you, Bruce Lee, for coming here. Thank you for watching.
Thank you.
That it? I think it's done.
You've been watching Bruce Lee on The Pierre Burton Show, a half-hour program of conversation, opinion, and debate. This is Bernard Cowan.
All right. Let me stop this video. I don't think I can. Oh, well. Let me just take the headphones off. Okay. So, conclusion. Based on that interview, I mean, you can interpret it different ways, possibly, but he looks like an extrovert. I see extroverted sense and I see introverted thinking. Maybe, I definitely see his NI too. Take these headphones. It's still playing. I can't really see the thing to turn it off. So, yeah. Conclusion of this type. So I already knew what his type was, though. Just so y'all know, though, man, types can look so different from each other. Like, if you take Bruce Lee and put him up next to a different type, they can look very different from each other on the surface. It's just a lot of it is a matter of learning how to, well, not learning how to, but how that person specifically used their function stack to pick up on certain things and stuff like that, how they chose to do it. So, is that all I got to say about that, man? Pretty much he's an ISTP. I don't know, it's pretty obvious, man. I don't really know what else to say about it other than she's an ISTP. But you might get people saying, oh, INFJ, not INTJ something. But I see his introverted intuition, but it's not his top function. I can just tell, man. A lot of his stuff comes from his introverted thinking. In that interview, he was talking a lot, but he was into the conversation, of course. But he even, just him talking about how he prefers. He said something there about him, had something to do with him preferring action over dialogue in his movies. Leaning towards that. But anyway, see you guys later. Like, subscribe, comment. Don't forget to turn on my notification bell. And stay tuned for the next video. I might change my mind and decide to upload daily or something like that. I know I said in the last video I was going to upload twice a week. I might change my mind, depending on what's going to work better for me. Stuff like that. But see you guys later.